MotoGP is underway for Grand Prix Sunday here at Balaton Park in Hungary. After an impressive sprint race yesterday which showed just the velocity of this track, it's time to get ready for Sunday. Let's go over to our commentators at TNT Sports.
Davide Tardozzi down there, hoping that Marc Marquez can continue his streak, his stroll now towards the MotoGP World Championship. It now feels like a matter of when, not if. Indonesia, Motegi seems a possibility, even Misano. And let's not forget, Misano's in 2 races' time, where we could be crowning Marc Marquez a 7-time MotoGP champ, 9-time world champion in the sport. But that's all to come. He starts from pole position later on today. For now, we've got this warm-up. And Michael, it feels a lot cooler out there than it has at any time this weekend.
Yeah, the cool breeze this morning make it feel a little bit cold ambient-wise, but surface temperature we've just seen from the graphic, 28 degrees. We expect this morning should be quite a fast racetrack, all the rubber that was laid down in the sprint and the Moto E race that followed. I think the tyre combination could be very similar to what we've seen in the sprint. It was a medium front, soft rear for everyone. That is an option for the main race today, to go double the distance, even with a soft rear. So I expect that's what they will run here in this warm-up session. As the track continues to evolve throughout the weekend, it has got faster, it's got grippier. The racing line itself got wider as the rubber has been laid down.
Yeah, Marc Marquez continuing his streak of victory, 13 races consecutively, sprints and main races. Can he make it 14 here today? He is the clear favourite after a dominant sprint win. The one thing, Michael, I suppose, is our conditions, because before coming here this weekend, we'd heard about track temperatures, about how high it could get and potential of, you know, how that might affect the tyres, how the track itself might affect in terms of greasiness, the grip levels out there. And it is stiller this morning. There is a breeze, you can just see with some of the flags flying. While it feels cooler, the possibility is that track temperatures will be the highest they've been at any point this weekend. Yeah,
the predicted temperatures, we've not reached them this weekend, which in some ways is fortunate. It's a physical racetrack, not a lot of rest for the riders, and yeah, I think this is the incident that did happen at the end of lap 1 for Enea Bastianini, wiping out Johan Zarco, and obviously a second offence means a double long lap penalty for him. He just got it all wrong after, frustratingly for him, his race was ruined on the opening lap. And yeah, consequently, a error of judgment for him.
Yeah, he obviously had his bike damaged by the Quartararo incident, but this was a lot further down the racetrack, and he tried to take 2 bikes. That's the thing. I mean, go past 1 fine with Alex Rins, but then found Zarco in his way. Double long lap penalty because it's his second offence for Bastianini. So his race is done, unfortunately, because he's actually one of the riders who's had decent pace this weekend.
Yeah, massive shame really for both Enea and the Tech 3 team this weekend. He's looked fast and podium pace was there for sure, but a mistake, not his fault in turn 1. Derailed this weekend then as the incident that happened further around the lap, a double long lap penalty here. It's pretty much done. It's difficult to pass here, and yeah, I think Enea's got his work cut out, but yeah, you never know. Let's see.
One thing it might do, Michael, I was thinking is, you know, you've got your Pedro Costa behind him. It might, you know, allow Pedro a free run, you know, depending on his start. It means there's another one less person, effectively, for him to come through. I say Pedro because it feels like he's the one with the closest pace to Marc Marquez. Yeah,
I felt all weekend Pedro could take the fight to Marc. Unfortunately for him, the crash in qualifying derailed things for him. 3rd row of the grid, a difficult track to pass, and he even struggled to make his way through on riders who were quite a bit slower than him in terms of race pace yesterday, and he got frustrated after a few laps of trying to get creative down the inside at turn 11 across the dirtier part of the racetrack, and once he was wide with angle, it let go. But hopefully today, if he can get a good jump and a run to turn 1, as you mentioned, Enea Bastianini will go down the long lap lane, and that does give him an opportunity to gain a spot.
Now let's have a watch of Quartararo again. He said, I don't actually think I got my braking that far wrong. Let's have a watch of it now. And if you see where everyone jumps on the brake,
it's a split second later, and you can see the difference in the approach speed for Fabio, and his struggle to decelerate in time, then have to release the brake, try to thread the eye of the needle, not make contact with anyone, and unfortunately just found Enea on his outside.
And that's why it looked worse than it was, because he released the brake again, which some people might not understand.
Yeah, he picked up speed at the last moment because he tried to clear the other riders, and yeah, that's why it looked worse for sure as he slightly accelerated towards the apex, trying to get cleanly through. He was doing his best to avoid contact, and unfortunately he found a bike on his outside. So yeah, you just go that split second later, and as everyone grabs the brakes at the same time, you immediately feel like you accelerate into them. So yeah, just a slight error of judgment on his part, but first time on a mass start into turn one, and he got it slightly wrong.
It's what's going to happen here. You see how dirty it is offline as well. That's another concern. But Fabio Quartararo deserved, you would say, of a long lap penalty.
Yeah, I think you have to penalise those errors, because it is, from the stewards and Simon Crayfar's point of view, it's a big mistake. It could have caused an even bigger crash if it wasn't for Fabio's wherewithal and ability to get past without actually taking anyone out.
Problem for Pecco Bagnaia here. Just saw him sit up around turn 2, and he's looking down at his bike, shaking the head, hand up in the air, as if his weekend wasn't going badly enough. Something not feeling right. Oh, Gigi Dall'Igna watching on with Carola, his sister, and Christine Gabberini down there.
Whether he just didn't look like he wanted to tip into turn 4. And again, perhaps it'll be a trip back down pit lane and just check out whatever's not feeling correct for him.
Something not right, was there? He was looking down at his left foot there as well. Wonder if there was something with the gear selector. He's in first here. Quick shift to third. Ooh. There's something looking strange for Pecco Bagnaia. He's got to just park this weekend, hasn't he? Get it out of the system and go to a track in Barcelona. I've had reports that from Paul Espargaro saying yesterday that the track there is in the worst nick he's ever known it, and he's local to there. You know, he's got every right. He probably will talk about it in glowing terms, but
the surface has been criticised now at Montmello for a couple of years in terms of lack of grip. It's a heavily used racetrack. Formula One test there, and a lot of track days throughout the year. But
I think it's used about, I think it's got 95% use.
Really?
Like bank holidays and Christmas and Easter, perhaps. It's the only times it's not really used. Incredible, really, when you think about it. But they need a resurfacing badly. We've already had complaints, as you say, for the last couple of years.
Yeah, the riders have mentioned it on a number of occasions over the last couple of seasons. It's been very low grip, but yeah, that'll be interesting in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, Bagnaia's got to, anyway, regroup and get back to things there. Marquez riding behind Aldeguer and his brother Alex. One of the comments he made yesterday was, you know, it's half overtaking, but we're MotoGP riders, we can do it. And we did see Alex was one of the few, wasn't he, able to get through, but had a couple of attempts at it yesterday.
Yeah, for the likes of Marc Marquez, he knows if he had to, he'll find a way to make an overtake. It's the risk versus reward. If you send it down the inside, get it a little bit too deep, you're wide, you're straight across the chicane, then that costs you a full second, and all the hard work you've done has just been wasted. So you have to actually make a decisive pass and try and keep it clean without making contact. Not easy to do on such a tight racetrack.
See there, Mark set the fastest lap of this morning so far, in behind his brother, who has a 3-place grid penalty for today's race, as does Jack Miller. You know, thinking about all these things, I'm thinking about Pecco Bagnaia down. He already moves up 2 spots because of Miller and Marquez's penalty. Then he's got Bastianini doing a double long lap, Fabio Quartararo doing a long lap penalty. Actually, for Bagnaia, it could look a bit better by the end of the day.
And it typically does on a Sunday for Pecco. He figures things out as the weekend progresses, although this session hasn't looked great for him, as he's back into the pit box in a short 10-minute session. Relaying back to Christian Gabberini.
Not often they come in halfway through the warm-up. Haven't set a time. Davide Tardozzi trying to get his ear in to have a listen to what's going on.
We've got a few medium rear tyres out there this morning. It did sound like the majority of riders felt they could make the soft go distance today, but perhaps a little trial out on the medium rear.
I was just wondering in terms of, I think,
Allocation.
temperatures. Well, one thing, and temperatures, if they rise significantly as the day goes on, that's another.
Yeah, that's true. We haven't seen in the surface temperature get up into the mid to high 40s. If we reach those sort of temperatures, then all of a sudden the medium does become probably a favoured choice for the race.
Pecco's going back out there anyway. Something didn't feel right for him, whatever it was. On board with Quartararo. Long lap is around turn 11. This is round 14 up to 15.
This, you can see from Fabio Quartararo, he makes his feelings quite clear. The frustration is evident that all weekend he can't stop the bike as precisely as he wants, and then he goes straight across these chicanes, vents his frustration on the track, and obviously makes everyone aware that it's not quite working for him here once again this weekend. Yeah,
it's all about his pitching. He says it's just rear wheel contact, effectively the rear grip again, isn't it, and helping him get stopped.
Yeah, it's certainly been an issue. A lot of times this weekend we've seen the Yamaha with the rear paw in the air, which does make it difficult to stop. Toprak Razgatlioglu somehow can do it in World Superbike, but with these Yamahas and pretty much all the MotoGP machines, they need the rear tyre on the ground to be able to use the negative torque from the engine and apply the rear brake to help stop in a straight line. Crash from Marc Marquez, that's not correct.
Well,
He's on board, yeah.
That was a worrying moment, wasn't it, for everyone? Just saw Jack Miller going to third. Sky Italy out was Ayagura.
He's had a horrible weekend, actually.
And that's a fast one, isn't it? That's turn 7. Oh, someone, and a Marshall running away there. It's through turn 7 that he's gone down there. The first of the two. Of course, that's, if you've seen the footage of the cameraman being hit, his was the next corner where the camera actually gets hit by Pedro Costa's bike. I was going to say, Jack Miller, Sky Italy reporting, and they usually are quite plugged in with some of the sources in the Italian teams, that Miller will stay at Pramac next year and be Toprak's teammate. That's their report this morning.
Interesting. Obviously, it sounded like Tox had gained some momentum with Manuel Gonzalez and the seat at Pramac Yamaha heading into the weekend, but interesting if a decision has been made. I think Jack has done enough to warrant the seat next year, and especially with Yamaha switching to a V4. Jack's got experience. KTM, Ducati, Honda as well, yeah, that's very true. He's tried them all.
Knows what it should feel like, and that's ultimately that's why they brought in Miller and Oliveira, though, isn't it? For the experience on other machines.
Yeah, for that knowledge. And remember the comments from KTM when Jack joined their squad, and he was instrumental in actually put the package together a little bit better and just calming down their development process in his early days at KTM. So yeah, I think he could be a good asset to Yamaha with the V4 on track at the moment.
And even Pecco was always quite eloquent, wasn't he, about Jack and the assistance that it gave him in his championship winning year.
Pecco didn't really want to lose Jack as a teammate at the time.
Well, no. He definitely didn't want Marc Marquez in there, did he?
Not, yeah, 2 years down the line. Pecco 3 seconds off, but something certainly wasn't right. I'm not sure if he jumped onto his second bike as he left pit lane there. It looked like another new rear tyre in.
Marquez top by 0.8 of a second from Jorge Martin in second. He's had a decent weekend, actually, Jorge, apart from a bike blow up, not his fault. Aldeguer third, and then Jack Miller fourth fastest, Alex Marquez fifth fastest. Hardly anything to get a read on there. No. Apart from the fact that Marc Marquez is in a different league this weekend.
Yeah. It looked like he was on autopilot yesterday in the sprint. He was able to just control things, never really putting it too far out of line on the way into the turns, precise through the direction changes on those tight, nadry little chicanes, and accelerating off perfectly.
Oh! That was between Joan Mir and Bez. Mir unhappy with that. Bez having a little look over his shoulder here.
As he shakes his head.
After the flag, I think Mir's saying, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that scared me. Alberto Puig staring directly down the camera into your eyes.
Something may...
You get a shiver down your spine with that.
With Alberto, yeah. He is. He's got that intense stare. But perhaps something happened a little bit earlier in the lap. The fact that Bezzecchi was starting to veer across the track a little bit to his right as he glanced over at Joan Mir.
Yeah. Marc Marquez's gap at the front cut with Aldeguer going second. You feel like Aldeguer's going to have decent pace here. The problem for Aldeguer, he starts 8th. However, 2 riders in front of him do have a long lap penalty in Bastianini and Quartararo, 2 for Bagnaia. Needs to get a good launch, which hasn't been one of his strong suits. That was one of the reasons for Bastianini. I felt for him, his best start he's had on a KTM,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
He was right there in turn 1. It was a shame, with good pace.
I know something I don't here.
There's no rain forecast today, but just a little dry run this morning with a bike swap. Obviously not had an opportunity to do too many so far this year on the Aprilia, so just testing out his crew.
Pecco needs to go home.
It feels that way, doesn't it?
3 seconds off at the back of the field. It looks like he wants to punch his Ducati.
Having a word with his Desmond Sedici there. It's funny when you have weekends like that, just nothing falling into line for Pecco Bagnaia here.
Someone give him a couple of days in a spa hotel, cucumbers on the eyes, and he needs to just check out, doesn't he, for a little bit. Honestly, we all feel for him. He's a 2-time world champion for a reason in MotoGP.
Yeah,
and everything, it feels like the world's against him.
It does, but luckily Ducati haven't lost faith. They will continue to evolve the motorcycle to find a setting for their double world champion. They have the luxury of Marc Marquez delivering on the GP25, and yesterday you've got Deji performing on it as well, but they will find a solution for Pecco. But frustratingly, it could take until the Misano test on the Monday after the race weekend.
You feel like he's in a bit of a spiral though, and this is a sort of track that just exacerbates everything that he's having as a problem this year.
Yeah, unfortunately it does. It highlights the issues where he can't quite stop the bike, doesn't have the feeling with the front tyre that he likes. The bike just doesn't respond to his inputs the way the previous models did. And yeah, he's missing his GP24, that is for sure. And he did speak a little bit that he wants to continue to work with the GP25, believes it can be better, but right now it's just not giving him the feeling.
Coming of age, isn't he, Fermin? Into the second half of his debut MotoGP season. And starting to put weekends together now.
He looked so good in Austria. His attacking way of riding the Ducati, the way he throws it at the turns. I think he could be strong here for another podium today, but he needs to be away with Marc Marquez if he wants to race him in the feature race today. But from the third row of the grid, it is possible for Fermin Aldeguer.
I'm told we'll get a sellout crowd today. Not easy for them to get in. There's just one entrance road, one main road, about an hour away from Budapest. So you can imagine people driving down this morning, making their way into the circuit.
You can still see the traffic on the motorway as it's built up and waiting to get into the venue.
At least there's a smile there for Bagnaia. Let's hope there's a few more by the end of the day. So Iagora down, he's having a really rotten weekend. A crash for him this morning. warm-up, not too much to report other than Marc Marquez quick again in it. We've got a full day of racing though, and I tell you what, you're not going to want to miss Moto3 in particular, which is our first race in our programme. Let's take a break here, and when we come back, we'll be building up to our race action here on Grand Prix Sunday in Hungary.